What is popular YouTube? Another day, another demo, as we are into the last final day of Blast Global Finals 2020. It's 2021, but the finals ends today. The culmination of the spring and fall season from 2020. They're changing the names this year to make things a little bit easier to understand, but basically it's the fall series into the fall showdown, into the fall final, and the spring series and the spring showdown to the spring final. This year, it's going to be the spring groups into the spring showdown, into the spring final, so it makes more sense. It's all part of one season, and of these two seasons, in the culmination of them, we've got the 8 best teams from all of those events, and there were no regular tournament events, just the seasonal events. And that has brought us to a top 3 of the number 3 teams also in the whole world. Can we take a look at that? The Blast Global Final, after all is said and done, the culmination of spring and fall from last year, all the way into this year, and now we've got Vitality and Navi going head-to-head to figure out who goes up against Astralis, number 2 and 3, fighting to face against number 1. It's very, very interesting to watch this unfold. It has been delivering in a big way. I'll be casting the grand finals at 8:30 today in a couple of hours. And today's video is going to be about s1mple, who I don't know if he'll be in the grand final. But in case he's not, I wanted to give him some flowers before he left. The title of this video is s1mple is a good teammate. And I think what we know is that in the past, he's gotten a bad rep for, being toxic or being hard to play with, or like other people saying things about him. Nobody knows how much of that has actually changed or not. But the other criticism, and the thing that I want to talk about, is the idea that s1mple is a big-time baiter, baits for stats, gets eco kills, his stats are inflated. While it's true that he does sometimes bait, that he does sometimes have inflated stats because of eco kills, that is not untrue for a lot of players. The amount of eco kills you get is just baked into your ADR, your KPR. Sometimes the eco comes to you. Sometimes you go and find the eco. I mean, it's not something that, like, just because s1mple has high stats on ecos doesn't mean that those kills weren't impactful and that he specifically inflates his stats with those pills. Anybody who thinks that doesn't really understand CS, unfortunately. s1mple has massive impact game in and game out, but the idea that maybe he baits a lot for kills, that maybe he puts his teammates in bad positions so that he can get a frag that doesn't end up resulting in a round being won, that's what I kind of want to talk about today, because in the past I have seen that. I've seen him play spots where I'm like, if he played a little bit more selflessly here, there's a better chance to win the round, even though he put himself in a bit more jeopardy. But in this last year, he's definitely grown. Like, people forget. They're like, oh, I was talking about how Device, z1mple, and s1mple are all at their top form at the same time right now. And somebody was like, well, they've been top 3 for the last 3 years. It's like, dude, do you think that they wake up every day and don't learn anything and play the exact same CS in the last 3 years? Is that what you think? No, they've been continuously getting better and maintaining top 3 over these last 3 years. What they've done is incredible, and what we're witnessing now is the peak of it, all at the same time, where you're literally getting indistinguishable stats from s1mple and z1mple. In 2018, it was so close between Device and s1mple, I wasn't sure who was going to get it. And then last year, you're splitting hairs. This year, it's even closer somehow. It's even closer. It's insane. In year 9 of CS, CSGO, year 9, year 8, whatever you want to call it, that the level of CS has gotten this high that the average team has gotten so good. It's not 5 top teams anymore. There's friggin' 20 of them that can all win matches versus each other. There are still 3 players that can set themselves this far apart from the rest. More so s1mple and z1mple in terms of their statistics and Device, but he's always consistently third. I mean, he adds to the context of the conversation between all of these players. But nevertheless, people want to love their favorite player. You're Danish, you're French, you're Ukrainian. You want to love your favorite player, you want to hate the other ones, and you want to hate the other fans of the other players. But you got to give respect where it's due. You cannot reduce any of these players to one thing. Device carried by his teammate. s1mple, he's got a better s1mple. He's got a better system. s1mple, oh, he just baits all the time. None of those things are true. No, these guys don't wake up. That's not the game plan. You don't get into a server. You don't scrim for months on end versus tier 1 competition and manage to become also the top 3 teams in the world and base your mentality around these things, right? Device has been carrying Astralis forever. Literally, he's been their best player forever. He's supported so heavily that nobody could actually point to a situation in a round where they can see that without Device's teammates, that Device wouldn't have impact. Nobody can actually do that. They just say that. They just parrot it because they've heard it before. They can't actually show me in a demo where there's anything different from the way that s1mple plays on his team with the way that Device plays on his team, the way that s1mple plays on his team when it comes to how much support there's the differences in the positions that his teammates are playing in are so nuanced. It's not like people aren't flashing for s1mple or giving up positions for s1mple or supporting s1mple, and the same for z1mple and the same. They're all on great teams. Navi's system's just more inconsistent. It has some more holes in it. s1mple's team vitality, yeah, it's really close to Astralis. It's actually getting up to that level where Navi, they're lagging behind in that regard, but they're still a very solid team overall. And yeah, there are some differences with the way that s1mple route moves around the map, but it's not like Device is like it's not like Device has this like golden briefcase with $1 million in it and everybody just makes sure he doesn't die all the time. He takes the duels himself. He doesn't hide behind people. He's the one carrying. He's the one been carrying. Okay? Stupid. Anytime someone says that to you, ask them to show you a situation where that's true. Where he's somehow being so supportive to the point that like anybody, any data shopper could be Device. Eat my ass. It's never happened. It's never happened. Even before Astralis he was carrying. Even as a rifler he was carrying. Stop it. Okay, but a conversation with s1mple that he is also some kind of, that he's like, that you can reduce him to just a baiter that baits for stats. Stop it. Okay, yesterday was a good example of what I think I've seen as s1mple being as s1mple elevating his team play to like its highest level on top of being this untouchable star player. Yesterday on Inferno T side versus Team Liquid, you have a situation where things are not going too well, and s1mple stats are off and on in the different halves. But the T side impact was absolutely ridiculous. They wouldn't have been able to entry into sites without s1mple. So that's just something that we're going to pay attention to the demo today. It is something that we do not see anymore. We do not see people opping on T side of Inferno anymore because of how hard it is to get a pick and how many smokes you sit behind and how you lack mobility when you have the T side op and spend extra money when you could have bought nades. And Inferno's all about grenades, keeping up with the amount of grenades. Like, it's expensive to op and it slows you down. But s1mple showed us that you could T side op on Inferno, and in fact, you could make it look like it was the most important part of your round. Now, typically, if you're T-side opping on Inferno, if you get into a post-plant situation, you get to quad on B, or you get to pit or backside on A site, then the op, you wish you had the op over any other gun, of course. But until you get to the post-plant, it can really slow you down. It can make it harder for you to trade. It can make it harder for you to beat the clock. Like, all these things end up becoming worse potentially. So many CT-favored angles. It's a very CT-favored op map. But not when s1mple's playing, okay, the s1mple effect. This is what we're going to look at today. Only good things to say about s1mple. Somebody asked me to talk about s1mple versus z1mple in this year as number 1 and 2. Obviously not a surprise. I'm fine. I picked s1mple with in terms of like, I want to give s1mple the edge because stats aside, since those are basically indistinguishable, it feels like he has to do more. He has to do more. His team definitely, I think, at this tournament especially showed that like they can be inconsistent despite what s1mple is doing. Like, it doesn't seem like it seemed like he was working with the team, but they still sometimes weren't performing. Like on the first day, it was a really slow game from Boomich and from Electronic, right? But then after that, they stepped up. He's still playing just as well. They're playing really well. Same space being taken, but they're hitting shots now. The calls are much better from Boomic. I can point to the rounds. I can show you the train demo and say, this is the T side. That was really good from Boomic. Look how many good things he did here. Look at the calls. Look at the plays. None of that has anything to do with s1mple. That's just on Boomic. And he was playing damn well on train versus G2 in that series. And over the course of the tournament, they're getting better and better. So... yeah, so let's go ahead and take a look at this match with Team Liquid, where things got a little bit sketchy, okay, on this T side. It wasn't going to be the easiest game ever, and s1mple really had to get something done, and I actually don't know how he got his first op. And all that's, I'm just saying, I don't know if he picked the op up or if he bought one. That's the big question mark for me, actually. This was one of the best Inferno performances we've seen in a while. I think, especially having the op, the impact was just there. Like the amount of kills that he could have just not gotten and no one would have said anything. They would have just glazed by it. Like, yeah, of course. Wow. How could I expect someone to get that kill? But then s1mple did get them, and then it ended up being the round win. That's what we're here to talk about today, right? People would have not even criticized s1mple for some of the kills that he missed, if he missed some of these kills, because they were so hard to get. He had to be in such a good position. He had to punish instantly, that kind of thing. Let's just zoom forward here. We got looking for the trades in the site. Okay, it's a little bit messy. 1v3. Odds are not too high. He's got to get the bomb. I think he dies right here. And we move on forward. Off of the pistol. And, okay, bracket control being taken over. s1mple and Navi and Liquid, they were about even this game. I think they both played. They both didn't play that well. Like, neither of these teams in this game made me feel like either of them could really take down Vitality or Astralis, unless it was like a super high level day. And I'm picking Navi at Blast to win both of the games because I picked Navi before the tournament started as a champion, as like the long shot champion to win. So it just doesn't make sense for me to pick anyone else, consider I'm picking against myself. In reality, I think Astralis will win this event. That's what I feel. I feel Vitality and Astralis, two best teams. Astralis is getting one over them, and I think it's more likely that Astralis will just win this game, win this next game, and Navi will probably lose. But I actually am not too unhopeful about the idea that, that Navi could play at a level to take down Vitality today. I think it's it's unlikely. Maybe not very unlikely, but like 40% unlikely. But what we saw versus G2, what we saw versus G2 as a team, if you on that form that day, actually, I think they would have been able to beat out Astralis or Vitality. I think it was that high. But, then we saw yesterday versus Liquid. The form came down a little bit. It was still there. It was a bit more inconsistent from s1mple. He'll be a pivotal part of the win today if they're able to get it. And Electronic and Boomic are the two question marks. Boomic, you obviously cannot count on the level of consistency that you get from Electronic or s1mple. But you need it, okay? You absolutely need it. Because the way that a lot of these IGLs are playing these days, like Boomic, Glaive, Kerrigan, Art, they're going out there. They're running into sites. They're running across sites to get information. But with Navi, it feels like Boomic, when he's playing well, he's calling well. When he's not playing well, the calls are a little bit sketch. And it's not quite clear. I think Stewie, is he by the sandbags here? No, maybe he's not. Okay, I don't know what happens, but let's go and find out. So it's late into the round, and sometimes when it's late into the round at the top of Banana, there's no smoke down. It's a good time to just see what happens. Walk around a corner. Of course, can always be scary to get off, but here we have Fallen Dead. s1mple gets dinked, most likely from construction. And Alish comes through at the fast flank, right? Actually such a crazy round. There was so many small moments that happened where it was pretty ridiculous. It really wasn't clear who was winning until Alish flanked T-steps on this round. It was like suddenly at the bottom of Banana. Okay. I want to go forward into potentially this next op round, okay? And s1mple. Oh man, this was a moment where I thought s1mple should have just took the kill here. His teammates are waiting out here, and I guess it's it's a lurk, so he goes through CT spawn, but like I feel like people expect these lurks these days, and I think maybe he was just taking a second to line up the shot. Could have been that. But they end up losing this frag, and then Electronic at least finds one, but he eventually gets traded, and now it's 10-9. Okay, we still don't have the op up for s1mple. And we got a 4-round win streak for Team Liquid. So now I'm very curious when this op gets picked up for the first time and how they get it. Fallen's opping over in the A-site for Team Liquid. Paying attention to that. And we'll see. This demo, we're watching for how s1mple does play with the pack in a lot of his entries. And most of the time what you'll see is that like there's some kind of 3-1-1 going on or 4-1 on a lot of the defaults, right? One guy on the other side of the map is holding for pushes, getting info, taking a lead if some kill happens, that kind of thing. And making sure you can't get flanked, keeping your options open so you can make these rotations back. Or you have a 1-3-1 where you've got like 3 people at middle and then 2 people holding flanks on either side of the map, depending on what kind of map it is. And in this game, I mean, and as usual, the opper is normally with the pack. But just how close he is what we really want to pay attention to here. So this is the Cubby setup with a Liege. And this is where s1mple has been getting destroyed. The whole team has just been losing. And I think we're calling a pause. We're on to another eco. And I think this is where things start to boil up a little bit, right? Like, okay, we're really, really losing a lot of rounds. This is definitely looking like we have no idea what's going on. Seeing this from s1mple's screen, it looks very confusing. Like, what exactly is happening at this moment? And here's the first point where he touches the op. And here's what happens. He immediately goes into the op 12-9 after losing 6 rounds in a row. 5 rounds in a row. 6 rounds in a row. Now we'll just see. So when you first pick up the op into a half, you can do whatever you want, right? You could take a spawn and go for a kill, but you always have the option to quietly go for some like very reserved piece of map control. Like if he had been opping for 5 rounds in a row, sitting at mid and holding for someone to peek mid might not be that effective if they're like worried about your op at all. But since they don't know if you're opping and it's rarer that teams T-side op on Inferno, you should use that to your advantage and remember that people are more likely to make a mistake if they don't think you're opping. And you have that kind of first round of having the op to get away with something. Now, kill comes through. They can't find a trade here. They go back towards A. What would make this even more interesting is if this was an unsuccessful round and we went back into the op again. And we'll see if that's the case. But so far, I mean, the round's not lost yet. Okay, we're looking for the arch wrap. We get the kill in archway. And s1mple, as the bomb carrier, of course, has to continue to make progress with his team. Now, they're going for an arch wrap that we normally have 3 people on. That was actually a sick trade. Kind of weird. He shouldn't have the bomb in a position where he's alone coming up lane, but he gets the kill on Fallen, and then the trade comes in from Bit, who also had a really, really strong performance here on Inferno. It's like he's like basically never been positive on this team, apart from like 1 or 2 maps on Inferno so far. This is by far his best map that he's played on Na'Vi. And because I feel like his position is very complicated and not very defined well, like he's asked to kind of pick up on like every spot on Inferno, A and B. And that's just a lot to do. That's just a lot to do for someone to have to move up and then play all these brand new positions. But okay, we get 1 key trade on Fallen. He wins the op versus op duel. It was actually a really nice, right side peek into Fallen, who could actually see his shadow, so straight up out-dueled him in a super quick kill. And now we see like s1mple immediately comes a little bit farther up mid. He's figuring out where somebody might try to pick him in a more aggressive or gimmicky way if they're looking for a tactic. We don't find a boost this time over. And on Inferno, you do have the liberty to take your time a little bit, especially on these T rounds. If CTs want to go really heavy, aggressive, banana, you can punish them later, but sometimes you have to respect their grenades if you don't have nades to challenge them on banana. Or keep up with them for a whole round. And now we take a small risk here for s1mple going out for this pick. Of course, they throw a flash that goes off this wall on the left side of his scope. So that the opper would have to at least turn around or be blind if they wanted to stay peeked. It's actually so easy to flash the Opera on lane as a T. It's really, really easy. You can throw it anywhere off the wall on the right side of where s1mple is right now. And now here we're looking for the arch side smoke. And we're still maintaining pressure on Bracket, waiting for a reaction. But Liquid, they were not that proactive this game. They kind of waited for the fights to come to them. It definitely can be viewed as a mistake. I personally do. But yeah, look, and then and here, even right there, he shoots into the wall just so that Electronic can drop into the pit, and Grim looks forward at s1mple because of that. Look at these trades, boys. What was I talking about? Look at this shit. As soon as he picks it up. As soon as he picks it up. Are you seeing this? He shoots pit. He shoots the wall of pit so that Grim, who's sitting there turned around, waiting for someone to drop on the balcony, turns back around to punish the Opper, and then Electronic falls on him, kills him, and then s1mple gets the next trade. He does not wait until Grim pops up. That could have got Electronic and him both killed. It's just one thing that I want to note, because as we move forward and we see how close to the action he always is, and how insane these kills are, and how important at the same time. Don't do yourself a disservice and reduce the top 0.001% players. Nico, s1mple, Cold Zera, well, maybe not in form right now. Cold Zera, Nico, Device, s1mple, Rob. Don't reduce them to one quality. Don't let people control your narrative, okay? These guys are in the top 5 of all of the players who ever touched this game in a number of categories. They aren't just one thing. They aren't just a baiter. They aren't just supported. They aren't just taking space. That's not. It's a ridiculous way. It's a ridiculous way to look at the game. It's a waste. It's a waste and a shame to reduce talents of this caliber in that way. Don't ever let people do that. Three rounds here in a row for s1mple. With the op, okay. There it is. The trade is easy spawn. Look at this one. Crouch for me so I could take that kill. Double entry into B with the AWP. Wasn't even the rifles that could do it. With the action. Rifle in front of him was low. That could have been a kill that they couldn't afford. Another round where the op kills are absolutely pivotal. The punishes on peak are pivotal. It's hard to plan for if you're on the CT side to expect an opper that deep at the exact same angle that a rifler is at when you're coming in for these entries. Where the kill on CT is more standard than when an orange is, it's like fuck. He's not just holding for someone to run out of coffins or waiting for another CT or going back to hold the flank. Another kill, just an eco, but the punish is here. It is just fallen. And now things get a little bit sketchy, okay? This is the problem that they can't stop. It should be no secret that this game comes close. Fallen finds the op kill at the top of B, and he gets to fall back. This is actually a huge kill from Fallen. They take back map control, and now with 10 seconds left, they feel like they need to get in. Look, 10 seconds, and Fallen gets traded out on the coffins, and Sasha, he's pushing in for more. He gets Stewie and Khan, and he's looking for the guy in the back. He spots 2 more, and he actually does damage there. Okay, I want you to remember he does damage there. 2-on-3 situation now at 12-14, and it's already a spot where it feels like they should not be in this game, and then him and Bit combined for the last 3. Did you see the trade on the Opper at Coffins? By any chance? Do you actually have any more questions? Every single round in a row. That Na'Vi have won 6 rounds in a row. s1mple has had impact that you cannot, that unequivocally changed the course of the round. That was caused a chain reaction that would not have been there if not for his kill. There's no way to replace it. There's nothing else that could have happened. It was like some kind of combo, right? A momentum combo that it had to happen in that moment, or that punish wouldn't be there anymore. Plus this refrag, plus this positional advantage that you get. He keeps it high as a team is running low on time or loses some kill somewhere else. And everybody is working together. I mean, everybody is close enough. And here's the spot where it's finally, it has to end, right? It finally has to end. 6 HP, and it looks like, oh my god, we're getting last round again. Fallen's dead, and now it's a 2-on-2. You think he has odds here. The shoulder peek comes in. The bait is good, and Unleash finally punishes. s1mple has to die, and that is it. Another kill here. That brings us one step closer, and you can see that's a spot where that kill that doesn't come out, that could have happened to... That Liquid could have literally won this game like 16-9 based on what we've seen, because s1mple was hitting those kills. The opportunity windows were so tiny, and he just had a fucking crowbar and cranked it open. I can make this video for Ziwu, Device, or anyone else. They all are insane individual level. Maybe it's fair to consistently mention Nico, you know, at that level as well. Overall. Consistently carrying their team, overtaking the server. The absolute focus star players. All-time great stats. On top teams in the world. But s1mple, Ziwu, they're just on another plane. Just another plane slightly. Here's another trade coming in. And the push, he killed Grim in the pit in his favorite position. And this is actually the entire game. It doesn't even come down to 16-14. In fact, s1mple actually gets the last 2 kills. I'm sorry for missing that. I didn't even realize he did more. Did you see? Do you understand how insane that T side was? Do you see what the hell I'm saying? All I'm saying is that from what we could see without anything else going into that s1mple's impact was unmatched. As a teammate and his position, he couldn't have been baiting less. That he was so a part of the game and so a part of every single one of those rounds that he showed that he was that on top of being a team player, an absolute star player by the merit of the difficulty of shots that he hit consistently. to bail them out, to get them to win. Would have had map 3 there. Even if s1mple was half as good as he was in that half. A pleasure to watch, as always. Hopefully we get a lights out performance. We can do another ZWoo demo. Looking forward to doing that as well. Lowest rated playoff series in 2020 for ZWoo, 1.10. Unreal. All right. Enjoy the final. See you guys tomorrow.